And what I do tell some people that I mentor is, I don't care who your boss is, you can always learn something from them. Maybe that's what they did well and you want to imitate that, or what they didn't do so well, so that whatever role you go into next, you can take that learning with you and maybe change something about yourself, change something about the next job. But it's really not about maybe necessarily changing companies.
Welcome to Beyond the Ledger, real conversations with people driving business forward. I'm Troy Ashby, CPA and host. Each episode, we unpack stories, challenges, and insights from today's top accounting and finance leaders. This podcast is brought to you by my friends over at MarketScale. Welcome back to Beyond the Ledger. Today's guest is Sandra Fendley, Executive Vice President and CAO of Vaquero Midstream. She's a numbers guru with a knack for building accounting teams from scratch and also making complex processes look easy. Over her career, she has turned challenges into opportunities all across the energy industry. She's a CPA with an MBA, but don't let titles fool you. She's just as passionate about people as she is about spreadsheets. Sandra, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
It is awesome. I know we were just talking about this, but it's just crazy to think how long we've known each other.
It has been 20 plus years, I'm thinking, at least.
Yes, I was a 7th grader. No, but what an honor to have you here. You're one of my all-time favorites. We have, done so much together and have watched, that intro isn't a lie. I've watched you go through some pretty cool challenges and change. But the one thing anybody that has been on your team talks about is your passion for them, for people. So I hope that theme runs through. I know you've got a ton of other things, but can't wait to dig in.
Well, thanks for having me. I like to tell people you're one of my favorite recruiters. Even if I was looking for a job or referring people to you, he's the hardest working, he's high ethics, and you can trust him. So if you need someone to help place you, you're the guy.
You've made it easy, because when we find somebody like you, it's easy to find people for, right?
Thank you.
Well, so before we dig in, and you get to share some of your story, the old question, tell the audience about yourself. Not necessarily about accounting and that kind of stuff, but something that they may not be able to find about you online.
So I obviously have been in the accounting industry for a long time, but I think I'm probably more passionate about the people that I work with and the teams that I work with. But outside of just my accounting career, I'm a wife, mother, and I am a grandmother to the greatest granddaughter ever. I love to read. I love the outdoors. I love Jesus, and can't wait to share some of that with you.
You told me that I think you and my wife both, you probably should get in a book club together, and there's plenty, because you read how many books in a year?
So I counted it up last year. Probably on average, I probably read between 75 and 100 books a year.
Yeah, amazing.
I think I'm going to cut back a little bit this year.
Sure.
I started the year with a very ambitious book.
Okay.
It was 1929, about the market crash.
Yeah.
And it's probably 500 pages. So I'm not sure I'll get to 100 this year.
Are you mostly reading all genres?
Yes. So I do love reading about businesses. So one of my very favorite books is called The Smartest Guys in the Room. It's about Enron.
I lived it. I've not read the book. I didn't know it existed, but I've watched the movie.
I recommend that to everyone. I probably read that book every couple of years, and I never reread a book.
Yeah.
But this one, of course, it was all accounting nerd stuff.
I know.
That was
very I will read it. I watch the movie at least every couple of years.
Yeah, but the book was fascinating.
So
I do read a lot of books about business, but also just read for fun.
Yeah.
Ann Tyler is probably my favorite author. I'll read John Grisham. I'll read Jodi Picoult, or, I have a wide range.
I know we're not here to talk about books, but I'm still intrigued. Everything physical copy, or are you doing audio too?
No, audio is not reading.
Hey.
Audio is not.
Hush. It's the only way I get to read.
And I think you're right. It works for some people because if you've got a long commute, it's a way to get some interesting information and you just don't have time to really sit down and read a book. But no, I read hard physical books and then I obviously do a lot of Kindle reading as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that is a good fun fact. So 75 plus books.
Yep.
I might get 4.
Everybody's got a different hobby.
Well, so let's talk about Sandra. You know, like I said, I met you 20 years ago, but you had shared something that I didn't even really know. You had mentioned kind of a non-traditional start.
I did.
Let's talk about that. What was that? What that look like?
I was actually already married and had children before I went to college. So managing going to college and, you know, being present with your family, raising kids, you know, being involved in a, you know, keeping, you know, your household going. So that was
that's certainly non-traditional.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And I probably didn't start till, you know, I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
Went to college before I took my first college class and didn't really know. My husband and I had just decided that, you know, we wanted to have a different, looking down the road 20 years from now, we wanted to have a little different outcome than kind of the path that we were on. So somebody needed to go and we decided I was going to be the one to go to college. Yeah. So, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I took, you know, my basics at a junior college. When I took my first accounting class, it really kind of clicked. It just seemed, it made sense to me. It was logical. It made sense to me. And my accounting professor, she said, you know, if you'll declare accounting as your major, I can give you a scholarship. So that's how money talks.
Ding, ding. You were an accountant before you knew.
Yes. So that's how I became an accounting major.
That is amazing. If I knew that, I forgot it.
Yeah.
But you've had such a tremendous career. Did you start, like, you graduated college and then where did you go from there?
Then I didn't take the traditional go to the big 4.
Yeah.
Grind out the 60, 80 hours a week. That just was not going to be a good career path for my family. So I started at TXU.
Mm-hmm.
So started there. And I think probably one thing that I would say is probably not really, you can't really get from my resume is all of the jobs that I've had, whether it be just changing responsibilities or making a job to a different company, really have just come about from people calling me and say, hey, I've worked with you. We've got this opportunity over here. Would you want to come be a part of this team?
Yeah.
So it really is all about doing good quality work and being a good teammate. And you'll be surprised at really how far you can go in your career.
Right. Being above reproach. Like you've no doubt, there's people all over the Metroplex that have worked with you or you've gone to work with them or they've decided to come work with you again. And it is a testament to how you've invested into people. But let's talk about some of those early TXU years, and because you had several different roles. I mean, you some technical roles and some, you know, in a huge company and even bigger today as Vistra. But because you were there for how many years?
I was there for 15 years.
Yeah. So you had a great career with ladder movement.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about that. How'd you navigate? How are you seen as far as like, how do you become not just a number at a company that size?
And, you know, I think it really does go back to doing high quality work and being a good team member. Because even at a big company, you're still a part of a smaller team. And as maybe that manager moves into a different group or that manager knows of someone that, you know, another manager needs. If you're doing high quality work and you're a good team member, those opportunities are going to come about.
Yeah.
And so really a lot of my moves in TXU were because of someone had recommended me or someone, you know, knew about me or knew of me or had worked with me.
Is there a position there? Now, I don't have to narrow it to one, but is there a position there that just challenged you more than others?
This is showing my tenure. I won't say age, my tenure. We went through deregulation. I was there when, you know, the electric industry got deregulated.
Yeah.
So like the 2001 era. So that was probably, and I was in a group that was doing what they would call, what would now be like FP&A. So financial planning and analysis.
Right.
So to just trying to, like, you don't know what that's going to look like.
Sure.
So really trying to gauge maybe and look into the forecast when it was the wild, wild west. And so that was probably that was a pretty big challenge.
Yeah.
In that, while I was in that particular company.
I can only imagine. I mean, no one had gone through it.
No.
So everybody's navigating, rowing the same direction, not knowing if you're going the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. So, we will eventually come to the CAO seat that you're in today. But what nuggets have you kind of used in your, like, building your path towards, huge company, now where you're at now, but what pieces have kind of made who you are to be in your seat today?
I hate to keep harping on it, but I really think it is, regardless of what job you're given, doing high quality work, meeting your obligations and doing what you said you're going to do, and being a good teammate.
Yeah.
Someone that people enjoy working with.
Yeah.
I think that makes all the difference. And that doesn't matter what size of company you're at or what your job is in any company. I think that really kind of, because when I went from TXU to my next position, it was because someone I had worked with at TXU called and said, hey, we've got this position. I'd love to work with you again. Would you consider, coming and interviewing for this position? And then I worked there for 7 years. And then actually the company that I'm at now, it was because the CFO that I worked with it was in LinkedIn, he called and said, hey, we're starting this new thing. It's, a startup. Would you be interested? I said, absolutely. Because I liked working with him.
Right.
He was a man of high integrity and super smart. So,
and you had a stint in there too, I think in Link Crosstech's. You got into like SEC reporting.
I did.
You went highly technical.
Highly technical.
Yeah.
So, and that again was one of those. I worked in more of the general accounting, fixed assets. That's kind of what I went over there to start in. And then an opportunity came up to move into SEC reporting, and they asked me if I would be willing to move into that role, which was totally different. Just probably the cycle of it is different. The requirements are different, but it was a good learning experience.
Yeah, no, I bet it was. I remember when that happened. And I also remember where I want to spend a lot of our time today is there was a person that you brought onto the team, and I believe it was there, who also didn't have reporting, and you gave this person a massive opportunity that really changed her career.
Yeah.
Big time. And so let's talk about Sandra that I know that I want them to know is this investment in people that is just permeated your career. And I know it's just who you are. So I know it's like a trick question. Like you're just be like, well, I mean, treat people good, but like do good work. But seriously, you've changed a lot of people's careers and you've got this genuine desire to help people. And I want to see if there's some things that people can learn from you and what you've been able to do.
No, I think some of it does come from that's just how God has wired me. Enjoy investing in people. As a matter of fact, on my team now, I have 2 people that I worked with at Crosstech who I recruited to come work for me.
Yeah.
And so I think just be willing to invest in people, they're not your employees.
Yeah.
They are someone that you should care genuinely about.
So walk us through, what does that look like?
One, I think, is holding them to high standards. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not, you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just here to be your friend. That's not it at all. It is setting your expectations, making sure they have the proper resources to do their job well, but caring about them as people.
Yeah.
It's not just what can you do for this company, but how can this company make an impact on you and your family in the long run? And so whether that's just, I know you're going through a rough time. I know your kids got all these sports obligations, make sure that you can participate in all of that as well. And then teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how to do their job. If they're not getting something, sit down with them and explain why you're doing it and what the purpose of it is and why it's important, but just spend some time teaching them as well, not just giving them a task to do. Help them to understand why it's important.
I love that you said, well, you didn't use these words, but I'm going to use them. You're not a pushover. Like, you do have high expectations. It's not like just because it doesn't mean if you're investing in people that you also aren't developing high caliber folks.
Right. I think just being a pushover does not make you a good manager.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to have hard conversations. And I think back to my TXU days when I was first supervising people, my manager, she made me have a really hard conversation with one of my employees. I didn't want to do it because it was uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to be the bad guy. But what she explained to me and what really kind of flipped the switch for me was, she said, you're not doing it to, quote, discipline this person. You're doing it to make them a better employee. You are doing them a huge disservice if you allow them to continue in this pattern. They were young in their career. They really needed to know what the expectations are. And you are doing them a huge disservice for their career if you don't address this issue that we're having.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is then that same person came to work for me in a different role as well.
Really?
Yeah.
And amazing that you think about your career and that first, then your boss challenging you to have that conversation is still, you still remember it.
I do, yeah. It made a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
So, Monica, if you're listening.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Monica. I appreciate you. That's great. So let's also double click on you mentioned teaching. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes people they want to hire the person that's already done it so that it's just an easy plug and play. And I know you've hired people that you've mm-hmm. taught and along the way. What does that look like? Are you desk side? How does this teachable moment look? And I know everything's unique, but what does that look like?
Probably it kind of sometimes is desk side, and sometimes it's not just sitting and watching them do something, but okay, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's why that's important. Here's what I look at to see if we're headed in the right direction. Here's some things I'm watching. And so you're kind of giving them the benefit of, I have a lot of things, that you've learned over the years and it's in your head, but it's kind of giving them the benefit of all of those experiences. If I'm looking at this balance sheet, here's some things that should make sense to me.
Yeah.
These are some things that don't appear to be correct. And here's why they don't appear to be correct to me based on what I know about the company, about what I know about this particular account. So it's really kind of helping them analyze and think through what you've asked them to do is really kind of where that's probably more of my teaching style.
Yeah. So you've given them the higher level look at, instead of getting so tactical in what you're doing, right, but kind of why you're doing it.
Let's look at the big picture so we can understand what we're doing. And then let's focus on maybe some of the minute details that we need to investigate further.
Yeah.
But giving a big picture overview of what you're trying to accomplish.
Got it. Okay. In your seat today, CAO, what do you think's prepared you for that role? And I guess, how long have you been in that seat now?
I had my 10-year anniversary this year. So.
Wow. Congratulations.
For this particular company. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, this has been a fantastic ride for me in this role because, like I said, it was a startup. So before we turned one shovel of dirt to build our processing plants, I was in the accounting role. So I got to build the accounting system from the ground up. I knew what reports we thought we were going to be needing. So you get to design your chart of accounts, your processes, your checklist, just the whole 9 yards. And so that goes all the way back to kind of your first job out of college is, what do your checklists look like? What should your journal entries look like? So it's really just a combination and culmination of all of those experiences.
So you have your footprint on the startup, like everything, it is your baby with all your history and experience. Yeah.
So it's been really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really proud of the work that our team has done. I'm proud of the company and I'm proud of the work that our team has done and how we get to be involved.
And you know what has, and I knew this, but what struck me as we're sitting here is 15 years, 7 years, 10 years plus.
Yeah.
Obviously your career wasn't stalled out with these folks out here now that feel like every 2 or 3 years they need to go find another position. You found a way that you did good work, invested in people, and continue to find
other opportunities come up.
Opportunities. And now we're in this situation where we have this tremendous accounting shortage. Fewer CPA sitters, fewer accounting graduates. You're not an economist and you don't work for the AICPA, but like, what can the accounting profession do? What should they do, in your opinion, to get fresh blood?
It is a huge problem. And I really think we probably are behind.
I would agree.
Yeah. I guess one thing I think is, I think if you could, starting back in college, so if you can get professors that are interested in their students, and maybe you have professors that are coming from industry, so then give them this is what a real accounting job looks like.
Sure.
Here's some things that you're going to be challenged. Here's some ways you can have a really great career. So I think you can start there.
Yeah. Got to get in that system first, though.
Yeah. You gotta teach. I don't know that I have an answer to that.
I know we're not going to solve it today, but it is. Yes, I'm biased because I'm an accountant by nature, right? Mm-hmm. But it is one of the most stable.
You can be an accountant anywhere. You can live all over the country and be an accountant wherever you want to be.
And leadership opportunities come from it, right? So I don't know what they can do either, but better do something 5 years ago.
Exactly. I 100% agree. I think we are behind.
Yeah. All right. So let's circle back to your tenure. It's been amazing. Could you talk to like how, because so many people switch jobs more frequently now, it's not uncommon to see 2 to 2.5 years before the next change. Your perspective on the way that you were able to still rise to the top seat with 3 companies in your career.
So I think for me, I was, just because you stayed with one particular company for a long period of time, there are a lot of different roles you can play within that one company. So you take on a different role. So it gives you a different perspective. It enhances your career and your skill set just by moving to maybe a different department. You don't have to change companies. You don't have to, quote, job hop every 2 years. And then, honestly, for me, I never really thought about what's my next career move. I need to be a manager. I need to be a director. I focused on doing high quality work. I sound like a broken record. High quality work, being a good team member, learning what you can learn. And what I do tell some people that I mentor is, I don't care who your boss is, you can always learn something from them. Maybe that's what they did well and you want to imitate that, or what they didn't do so well, so that whatever role you go into next, you can take that learning with you and maybe change something about yourself, change something about the next job. But it's really not about maybe necessarily changing companies.
It's a really good perspective for 2 reasons. One, your boss does have a lot of knowledge that if you can pull some things from. I already know some people are rolling their eyes right now, changing jobs every 2 to 3 years. That's how I stay ahead. Based on what you can see in your own experience, did it set you back financially? Were you like comparing apples to apples? Because you did still rise to the top and you filled a lot of holes. But I know a lot of people sometimes are chasing that promotion or money.
Chasing money will never satisfy you. I think having a place that you go to work every day, that you don't have the Sunday dreads, so that you have a place that you enjoy working at and that you and people you enjoy working with, that is way more important than chasing the next paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
That brings a lot more, for me, that brings a lot more satisfaction than can I afford to drive a nicer car.
Yeah.
It's just never been about that for me. I have been blessed and fortunate that has followed me, that those things have come along, but I would never chase a title. I never chased the next pay increase. That's just not how I'm wired.
You've played the long game for your entire career.
Yeah.
And it shows that is still a path.
I believe, yeah.
And it's been so rewarding. And
Yes.
you've invested your whole self in the companies.
Yeah.
And the people.
Yeah.
And it's paid you back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been its own reward. Having people that you enjoy working with every day. I mean, you spend a tremendous amount of time with the people that you work with.
Yeah.
And then I guess on the flip side, I would say if you don't sit at the water cooler and complain about people. Make a career move. It's your life. It's your career. If there's something about a particular company, a particular team, or whatever that does give you the Sunday dreads, then it is time to change jobs.
Yeah.
But being a person who is, quote, malcontent, who complains, who is not a good team member, it's probably time for you to move on.
Yeah.
And that is something that you can control. It's not your boss's fault. It's not the company's fault. It's something that you do have agency over.
Sure. And good for you and good for the team that you're leading.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. I think that opportunities coming versus chasing is, you still need to position yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? We're not just waiting.
No. I would never say just sit back and it's all going to come.
Yeah.
That's not what I would say.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if we covered everything, but before I wrap this up, and I'm going to make sure you cannot say the things you've already said.
Oh, no.
No, but what is something that you think somebody should do right now, put them somewhere in their late 30s, whatever, that can set them up to continue climbing that ladder?
And I do think you need to be curious. All of us fall into the trap of being afraid to ask questions. If there's something you don't understand or there's something that you're more interested in, if there's a team that you want to be on, show your interest, express a desire to learn about a particular thing within your company, or maybe even outside your company. If some new technology is really fascinating to you, how can you integrate that into the work that you're doing to just add a little bit more value? So just find ways that you can add value to the job you have or the job that maybe you are aspiring to be.
I love it. Curiosity and invest.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. Sandra, it has been so good seeing you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. I'm Troy Ashby, and remember, people are more than their titles, and companies are more than their balance sheets. Follow Beyond the Ledger so you never miss an episode.